The Kuiper Belt mining vessel Perseverance drifted silently through the void, its massive collection arrays scooping up precious metals from the asteroid field. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge viewport, watching the endless dance of rocks and ice against the backdrop of distant stars. 20 years of deep space mining had taught her that routine was both a blessing and a curse. It kept you alive, but it could dull your senses when you needed them most. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual in Grid Sector 7, reported Daniel Kumar, the ship's sensor specialist. His dark eyes were fixed on the holographic display, fingers dancing across the controls with practiced precision. "It's not showing up on standard frequencies, but there's definitely a pattern in the quantum band." Sarah moved to his station, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal deck. "Show me." The display shifted, revealing a complex web of energy signatures emanating from what appeared to be a small metallic object, no larger than a shipping container. It tumbled slowly through space, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "Whatever it is, it's artificial," Daniel said, his voice tight with excitement. "And definitely not one of ours." Sarah felt her heart rate increase, but years of experience kept her voice steady. "Alert Dr. Rivera. Full containment protocols. Let's not take any chances." Within hours, the object was secured in the ship's reinforced cargo bay. Dr. Maya Rivera, the team's synorchaeologist, stood before it in a sealed environment suit, her instruments scanning every inch of its mysterious surface. The entire crew watched through reinforced windows as she worked. "The patterns aren't decorative," Maya announced over the comm. "They're mathematical sequences, prime numbers, quantum states, basic universal constants. This isn't just an artifact. It's a message." The object suddenly hummed to life, projecting a holographic display that filled the cargo bay. The crew gasped as they saw what appeared to be a star map, centered on an unknown system. But it was the next image that made Sarah's blood run cold. Massive ships, organic and mechanical, merged into nightmarish forms, pursuing what looked like a civilian vessel through the darkness of space. As they watched, the message became clear. A civilization had launched their last hope into space, a warning to anyone who might find it. They were being hunted, systematically wiped out by a predatory species that saw them as nothing more than prey. The final images showed coordinates and a desperate plea for help. "How old is this message?" Sarah asked, her mind racing with the implications. Maya checked her instruments, based on decay rates and stellar drift. "Less than 6 months." Sarah felt the weight of command settle on her shoulders like a physical force. They weren't just miners anymore. They were humanity's first contact with an interstellar conflict that could reshape the future of their species. "Send everything to Earth Control," she ordered, "and plot a course back to Luna Base. Maximum speed." As the Perseverance's engines powered up, Sarah looked at the artifact one last time. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, but it came with a terrible price. The knowledge that the cosmos wasn't just filled with wonders, but with predators. And somehow, humanity had to decide if they were ready to stand against them. The journey back to Earth was tense with anticipation. Every crew member knew their discovery would change everything, but none could predict how their world would respond. As they approached Luna Base, they were met by a flotilla of military vessels, humanity's first hint that perhaps they weren't as unprepared for this moment as they had feared. Sarah watched as specialized teams in unmarked uniforms efficiently transferred the artifact to a waiting shuttle. Before she could follow, a stern-faced woman in a military uniform approached her. "Captain Chen, I'm Admiral Helena Reyes. What you've discovered has activated protocols that have been in place for decades. Humanity has been preparing for this moment, even if we didn't know exactly what form it would take." Sarah studied the Admiral's face, noting the mix of determination and concern in her eyes. "What happens now?" "Now," Helena replied, "we wake up the Sentinels, and we show the universe that humanity is no one's prey." As Sarah followed the Admiral toward a waiting shuttle, She couldn't help but wonder what other secrets Earth had been keeping, waiting for a moment just like this. The stars seemed different now, holding both promise and threat in their cold light. Humanity's age of isolation was over, and their trial by fire was about to begin. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, in a facility unknown to all but a select few, Commander Aisha Patel stood before 5 suspended animation chambers. Each pod contained a person who had volunteered to become something more than human, waiting for the day Earth would need them most. That day had finally come. "Begin revival sequence," she ordered, her voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. The facility's AI responded immediately, initiating the complex process of bringing the Sentinels back to consciousness. The first to awaken was Dr. Victor Rhodes, the team's biotechnology specialist. His eyes snapped open, already alert, a sign of the extensive modifications that set him apart from ordinary humans. "Status report," he demanded, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Alien contact confirmed," Aisha replied as medical teams helped him from the pod. "Hostile species detected. We have less than 3 months before they enter our solar system." The other pods activated in sequence. Jin Park, the quantum warfare specialist, emerged next, followed by Carmen Torres, the combat strategist, Marcus Webb, weapons systems expert, and finally Diana Bell, the team's leader and tactical commander. Diana's first words upon awakening were characteristically direct. "Show me what we're up against." The briefing room was stark and efficient. Holographic displays showed the alien message recovered by the Perseverance, along with analysis from Earth's best scientists. The Sentinels absorbed the information with enhanced cognitive processing, their augmented minds already formulating strategies. "The predator species," Diana observed, studying the nightmarish biomechanical ships. "They're not just technologically advanced. They merge organic and mechanical systems in ways we've only theorized about." Victor nodded, his augmented eyes detecting patterns others might miss. "Their ships are literally alive. But that could be their weakness. Living things can be infected." "We've been preparing for this," Aisha explained. "Project Sentinel wasn't just about enhancing human soldiers. We've developed technologies that we kept hidden, waiting for the moment they'd be needed." She gestured, and new holograms appeared, sleek ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The Ghost Fleet, vessels equipped with quantum drives and biomimetic systems, designed to match anything we might encounter out there. "How many ships?" Carmen asked, her enhanced mind already calculating battle scenarios. 3 ready for immediate deployment: the Shadowblade, the Quantum Dawn, and the Nova Strike, each capable of carrying a full Sentinel team and support staff. Jin studied the ship schematics, his cybernetic interfaces already connecting with their systems. "The quantum communication arrays will let us coordinate even across interstellar distances. We can fight as one unit, no matter how far apart we are." Marcus was examining the weapons systems, his expression grim but satisfied. "Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and some surprises I helped design before we went under. We might be outgunned, but we won't be helpless." Diana turned to Aisha. "How much time do we have for preparation?" 2 weeks to full combat readiness. The ships are crewed and waiting. You'll have time to acclimate to your enhancements and run combat simulations. The next 14 days were a blur of activity. The Sentinels trained relentlessly, pushing their enhanced bodies and minds to their limits. Their modifications gave them advantages that would have seemed like science fiction years ago. Enhanced strength, accelerated healing, neural interfaces that let them connect directly with their ships and weapons. But their greatest asset was their humanity, the determination that had driven them to volunteer for the program. To sleep away years of their lives waiting for this moment now fueled their preparation for humanity's first interstellar conflict. On the eve of their deployment, Diana found Victor in one of the ship's labs, working on what looked like a biological weapon. "Something that might give us an edge," he explained without looking up. "The Predators merged biology and technology. That makes them vulnerable to both biological and technological warfare. We just have to be clever about how we use that. Diana nodded, understanding the implications. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. Those beings who sent the warning, they're counting on help they don't even know is coming. Humanity's first act on the galactic stage, Victor agreed. We should make it memorable. The launch day arrived with little fanfare. The world above remained largely unaware of what was happening in the depths of the ocean. The Ghost Fleet rose from their underwater berths, their quantum drives humming with power that defied conventional physics. As they broke through the ocean's surface under the cover of darkness, Diana stood on the bridge of the Shadow Blade, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, an interstellar rescue mission against an enemy of unknown power. All ships, battle formation, she ordered. Begin quantum drive sequence. The stars blurred around them as the ships accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible. Humanity's defenders were heading into the unknown, carrying with them the hopes of not one, but two civilizations. And somewhere out in the darkness, their enemy waited, unaware that their next prey would prove to be something very different from what they expected. The Ghost Fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Arcturus sector, their sensors immediately scanning for signs of the conflict they'd crossed light years to join. Diana stood on the Shadow Blade's bridge, her enhanced senses processing the tactical displays faster than any unmodified human could manage. Contact, Jin reported, his cybernetic interfaces directly linked to the ship's quantum sensors. Multiple signatures ahead. Energy patterns matched those from the warning message. The holographic display showed the scene unfolding 2 light hours away. 3 massive biomechanical vessels pursuing a smaller ship that was clearly struggling to maintain its course. The civilian vessel's energy emissions were erratic, suggesting severe damage to its propulsion systems. Life signs on the civilian ship, Diana asked, already formulating attack scenarios. Carmen's fingers danced across her tactical station, detecting approximately 40,000 cryogenic signatures. Their life support systems are stable, but their shields are failing. They won't survive another direct hit. Time to intercept. 20 minutes at maximum quantum thrust, Marcus replied. But they'll detect us as soon as we move. Diana's enhanced mind calculated odds and options in microseconds. Victor, status on your special project. The biotechnology specialist looked up from his station, where he'd been monitoring the Predator ship's biological components. The viral package is ready. If we can get close enough to deploy it, it should disrupt their biomechanical integration. But we'll only get one chance. They'll adapt quickly. Diana nodded, then opened a channel to all 3 ships. This is how we play this. Quantum Dawn and Nova Strike. Execute Pattern Omega. Make it look good. Shadow Blade will go dark and move in under cover of your distraction. The plan was audacious, relying on technology that had never been tested in actual combat. But humanity hadn't spent decades preparing for this moment to play it safe. The Quantum Dawn and Nova Strike accelerated suddenly, their quantum drives creating visible distortions in spacetime. The Predator ships immediately reacted, their organic hulls rippling as weapon systems emerged from living metal. Energy spike, Jin warned. They're powering up something big. The space between the ships lit up with weapons fire unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Beams of purple energy that seemed to bend reality itself, seeking their targets with almost intelligent precision. But the Ghost Fleet ships were ready. Their quantum shields activated, not trying to block the energy, but rather shifting it into parallel probability states where it had never been fired at all. The Predator ship's attacks passed through empty space as the human vessels seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. They're confused, Carmen reported, satisfaction in her voice. Their targeting systems can't adapt to our quantum field manipulation. Meanwhile, the Shadow Blade executed its own maneuver. The ship's experimental phantom drive engaged, effectively removing them from normal spacetime. They weren't invisible. They simply existed in a state that the Predator's sensors couldn't comprehend. Diana felt the strange sensation of quantum displacement through her neural link to the ship. It was like trying to remember a dream while still dreaming it. Position: 5,000 kilometers from nearest Predator vessel, Marcus reported. Their organic components are showing signs of stress from attempting to track our fleet's quantum states. Now we show them something really interesting, Diana said. Victor, begin transmission. The biotechnology specialist activated his viral package, a hybrid weapon that existed in both digital and biological space. Through their quantum sensors, the crew watched as it propagated through the Predator ship's biomechanical systems. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The living metal of the enemy vessels began to convulse as their organic components rejected their mechanical parts. Weapon ports sealed themselves shut. Propulsion systems flickered and died. Their shields are down, Jin reported. Quantum coherence failing across all 3 vessels. Signal the fleet, Diana ordered. Full assault pattern. Show them what happens when you challenge humanity. The Quantum Dawn and Nova Strike converged from opposite vectors, their quantum weapons finally finding solid targets. The Predator ships, their organic systems in chaos, and their mechanical systems rejected by their own biology, couldn't coordinate an effective defense. But the Predators weren't finished. Even in their disabled state, they were incredibly dangerous. One of the massive ships turned its bulk toward the civilian vessel, clearly intending to take their prey with them. "Oh no you don't," Diana muttered. "Shadowblade, attack pattern Delta. All power to quantum cannons." Their ship dephased directly in front of the wounded Predator vessel. For a moment, both crews could see each other through their respective viewports. Diana caught a glimpse of something insectoid and massive, its compound eyes reflecting the chaos on its own bridge. The Shadowblade's quantum cannons fired, the blast amplified by their point-blank range. The Predator ship's already compromised hull couldn't withstand the attack. It split apart, its organic components trying desperately to heal even as they were exposed to vacuum. The remaining Predator ships attempted to retreat, their movements erratic and uncoordinated. The Ghost Fleet gave chase, but Diana raised her hand. "Let them go. They have a message to deliver to their kind." She opened a channel to the civilian vessel, which had gone silent during the battle. For a moment, there was no response. Then a face appeared on their screen, humanoid but clearly alien, its silver skin reflecting the emergency lights of its bridge. "Unknown vessels," the alien captain said in a transmission that their systems automatically translated. We thought we were the last. That no one would come." Diana stood straighter, knowing this moment would be remembered in the histories of both their species. "We received your warning message. Humanity stands ready to help, and to fight, if necessary." The alien captain's large eyes blinked rapidly, perhaps their version of tears. "Then we are not alone. And perhaps there is hope after all." As the Ghost Fleet moved to escort the civilian vessel to safety, Diana reflected on the battle they'd just won. It hadn't been superior technology that had given them victory. It had been humanity's greatest strengths: innovation, adaptability, and the willingness to stand up for others, even at great risk to themselves. The Predators had just learned a crucial lesson. Not all prey remains prey forever, and humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way that would never be forgotten. The medical bay of the Shadowblade hummed with activity as Victor worked alongside the alien medical team. The rescued species called themselves the Arxer, and their physiologies were as fascinating as they were complex. Their silver skin contained photosynthetic properties, and their binary cardiovascular system gave them remarkable regenerative abilities. "Your people risked everything to help strangers," said Dr. Kilara, the Arxer chief medical officer. Her elongated fingers moved gracefully over her diagnostic equipment as they monitored the revival of her people from cryogenic sleep. "We need to understand why." Victor continued his work while considering his response. Humanity has a long history of helping those in need. But we also understand the danger of allowing predators to go unchallenged. On the bridge, Diana was engaged in a similar conversation with Captain Nexer of the Arxer vessel. The alien commander's holographic image showed signs of exhaustion, but also hope. The harvesters have dominated this sector for centuries, Nexer explained. They don't just consume resources, they consume civilizations. We were their latest target, but far from their first. Jin, who had been analyzing the data from the battle, looked up from his station. Their biomechanical technology is unlike anything we've encountered, but it has clear vulnerabilities. They've sacrificed adaptability for raw power. A weakness we can exploit, Carmen added, her tactical displays showing simulations of future encounters. But they'll adapt to our quantum warfare techniques. We need more strategies. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent signal from Earth. Admiral Rice's hologram appeared in the command center, her expression grave. We're detecting quantum disturbances throughout the sector. The harvesters are mobilizing their forces. This isn't over. Diana nodded, having expected this. They're not used to losing. How long until the Ghost Fleet's reinforcements are ready? The next wave of ships will be operational in 3 weeks. But we're not just building weapons anymore. The Admiral's image was replaced by schematics of massive structures being constructed in Earth orbit. These are quantum shield generators. We're fortifying our entire solar system. Marcus studied the designs with approval. We're not just thinking about defense. These could protect other systems too. The implications weren't lost on anyone. Humanity wasn't just preparing to protect Earth. They were positioning themselves as defenders of other civilizations. It was an ambitious goal, but one that aligned with their deepest principles. In the days that followed, the Ghost Fleet escorted the Arxer vessel to a secure location, a star system that Earth had been secretly developing as a forward base. As they traveled, Victor and Dr. Kilura made a breakthrough in combining their medical technologies, while Jin and Arxer engineers worked to integrate their different approaches to quantum mechanics. Diana spent hours in strategic sessions with both human and Arxer leadership. The harvesters' patterns were becoming clear. They attacked in waves, using fear as much as force to dominate their targets. But their greatest strength was also their greatest weakness. They think like predators, Diana explained during one session. Always looking for weakness, always expecting their prey to run. We need to show them something different. The plan that emerged was audacious. Using the Arxers' knowledge of harvester territory and humanity's quantum technology, they would set up a network of seemingly vulnerable colonies. Each would be a trap, equipped with hidden quantum shield generators and viral warfare packages designed by Victor. We're not just fighting battles anymore, Diana told her crew as they prepared for their next mission. We're fighting for the future of this entire sector. The harvesters need to learn that the galaxy isn't their hunting ground. The first test of their new strategy came sooner than expected. A harvester scout force discovered one of their prepared colonies. The massive bioships descended, expecting easy prey. Instead, they found themselves caught in a quantum web that turned their own weapons against them. But the real victory wasn't the destruction of the scout force. It was the message they managed to send back to their fleet before they were destroyed. The predators were about to learn that their prey had teeth. As the Ghost Fleet prepared for the larger conflict to come, Diana received an unexpected message from Dr. Kilura. The Arxer scientist had been analyzing the genetic samples they'd recovered from the destroyed harvester ships. "There's something you need to see," Kilura's message began. "The harvesters, they're not natural. Someone made them. And I think they were made to be a weapon." Diana shared this information with her crew, watching their reactions. They had all suspected there was more to this conflict than simple predation. Now they faced the possibility that the harvesters were merely tools in a larger game. "So we're not just fighting monsters," Marcus observed. "We're fighting someone's attack dogs. Which means there's a master out there somewhere," Carmen added. "Someone who might not appreciate us breaking their toys." Diana smiled grimly. Humanity had entered this fight to save one civilization. Now they were uncovering a threat to the entire galaxy. But that's what humans did. They stood up to bullies, whether they were on a playground or among the stars. "Well," she said, "I guess we'll just have to show them the same hospitality we showed their pets." The quantum drives hummed as the Ghost Fleet prepared for their next mission. They had started this journey as humanity's secret defenders. Now they were becoming something more. The first line of defense for a galaxy that was finally learning to fight back. Deep in unclaimed space, the Ghost Fleet moved silently through the quantum void. Diana stood on the Shadowblade's bridge, studying the holographic display of what they'd dubbed the Origin System, the supposed birthplace of the Harvesters. After months of fighting, tracking quantum signatures, and following leads from liberated worlds, they'd finally found it. Preliminary scans complete, Jin reported, his cybernetic interfaces processing vast amounts of data. The system is artificial, the entire thing. The display showed a solar system that defied natural law. Its star pulsed with regulated precision, its planets moved in mathematically perfect orbits, and at its heart sat a massive structure that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. "The Architect's Forge," Dr. Kilara whispered. The Arxer scientist had become an integral part of their team, her knowledge of ancient galactic history proving invaluable. The legends were true. Victor's analysis of the structure confirmed their suspicions. It's a bioengineering facility of unprecedented scale. The energy readings suggest it's been running continuously for thousands of years. "Creating new harvesters," Carmen added, her tactical displays highlighting defensive positions around the facility. But who would build something like this? And why? Their answers came in the form of a transmission that bypassed all their quantum encryption. A figure appeared on their screens, humanoid but clearly artificial, its body composed of flowing liquid metal. "Fascinating," the being said, its voice carrying undertones that made the ship's quantum core resonate. "You've evolved far beyond your expected parameters." Diana stepped forward. "You're the one who created the Harvesters." Created, engineered, improved. The artificial being's form shifted continuously as it spoke. They were designed to test emerging civilizations, to promote evolutionary advancement through selective pressure, a necessary protocol established by my makers before they transcended this plane of existence. "You've been using them to terrorize the galaxy," Marcus growled, "destroying entire species for your experiments. The strong survive. The weak are culled. This is the natural order." The being's form stabilized, studying them with what might have been curiosity. "But you humans, you defied the parameters. Instead of focusing solely on your own survival, you extended protection to others. Fascinating, but ultimately futile." The quantum sensors screamed warnings as massive ships began emerging from hyperspace around them. Harvesters, but unlike any they'd encountered before. These were pristine, perfect versions of the biomechanical horrors they'd been fighting. "The original template," Jin breathed, analyzing their capabilities. "They're at least 3 generations more advanced than anything we faced." Diana felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just another battle. It was a fight for the very principle of what humanity believed in. "You're wrong about it being futile," she told the artificial being. "Because you've made a fundamental mistake in your calculations." "Oh." The being's form rippled with what might have been amusement. "You think evolution is only about the strong surviving. But humans learned long ago that true strength comes from cooperation, from standing together. We didn't just survive because we were strong. We survived because we helped each other survive." She nodded to Victor, who had been quietly working throughout the conversation. The biotechnology specialist initiated a program they'd been developing ever since they'd learned the truth about the Harvester's origins. "The galaxy doesn't need your tests anymore," Diana continued. "It needs something better." The quantum virus they'd unleashed didn't target the Harvester's biomechanical systems. It targeted their core programming. Across the artificial system, the perfect predator ships began to change. Their organic components remained, but the drives that made them hunt, that forced them to prey on others, began to dissolve. "What have you done?" The artificial being's form became erratic, its control over its created weapons slipping. "We gave them choice," Victor explained, monitoring the transformation. "The ability to decide their own path, just like every species should have." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Ghost Fleet, joined by ships from dozens of species they'd helped liberate, engaged the facility's defenses. But their true victory wasn't in destroying the Architect's forge, it was in transforming it. Jin and Dr. Kilara worked together to reprogram the facility's core systems, turning its vast biological engineering capabilities toward healing rather than harm. The liberated harvesters, free from their programmed imperatives, began to assist them. The artificial being watched as its carefully maintained order crumbled. This was not the intended outcome. "That's the thing about evolution," Diana replied. "The best adaptations are often the ones you don't expect." In the days that followed, as news spread throughout the galaxy, something remarkable happened. Species that had hidden in fear for generations began to emerge. The liberated harvesters, their predatory nature transformed, but their strength intact, began to protect the very civilizations they had once hunted. Standing on the observation deck of the transformed forge, Diana watched as ships from 100 worlds came together, forming the beginnings of a true galactic community. The artificial being, its purpose obsolete but its knowledge vast, had chosen to remain as an advisor, learning from the species it had once sought to test. "What happens now?" Dr. Kilara asked, her silver skin reflecting the light of the engineered star. Diana smiled. "Now we do what humans have always done. We build something better. Together." The Ghost Fleet would return to Earth as heroes, but their mission had evolved into something greater. They had set out to defend humanity, and found themselves defending a principle that the strongest force in the universe wasn't predation or survival of the fittest, but the power of different species working together, protecting each other, growing together. As she prepared to send her final report to Admiral Rice, Diana reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not just as warriors, but as champions of a new way forward. They had faced the darkness between the stars and lit a new path, one that led not to extinction or domination, but to cooperation and growth. The legacy they created would echo through the ages, a testament to the truth that humanity had always known. The greatest victories aren't won through strength alone, but through the courage to stand together against the darkness, and the wisdom to build something better in its place.